Whoa, just like that. Story of the Fight listeners, welcome in. As always, I'm joined with my boy Will over here. And today, Will, we have one of our regulars, special guest, Andrew Toste, right? Welcome on, sir. Welcome on, Toste.
Got some new hardware in the background? Come on.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I was saying before we started, I was like, I feel like every time you hop on, there's a new belt that's added on to the collection.
Yes, sir. You can call me the belt collector, bro.
There
Belt
we go,
collector,
man.
The cat collector.
Just all at once. No, seriously though, Toste, congratulations, man. I mean, most recently in CCFC, Central Coast Fighting Championship on February 4th, you collected another belt, man. And it was, correct me if I'm wrong, another weight division, right?
Correct. It's my second lightweight title. My second title at CCFC. The first one was for featherweight. This one's for lightweight.
My guy. And by the way, I believe that was Will's debut as well as a commentator. Yeah. So, dude, for me, it was a special night watching my boys on here on the screen, listening to Will commentate the fight where you're just kicking ass, man. So today you're joining us so that we can you can walk us through the fight, right?
Yes, sir. It was a really special night for me. We had 4 people on the card. I only got the notice for the fight like 48 hours, maybe like 50 hours ahead of the fight. I was supposed to be in the commentary booth with Will. It was going to be a really cool night that way, but it turned out really great for me. So.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, I was like, yeah, me and Toste are gonna do commentary together. It's gonna be so sick. And then it switched to I get to commentate one of Toste's fights, so it was just super cool all around. What a cool night.
Yeah, and by the way, Toste, I know I said it before, I'll say it again. You accomplished something that Will and I have not been able to accomplish. Other people out there have not been able to accomplish. You got Rich, our producer, to watch a fight, man. That's huge.
Yep, we're gonna take baby steps and get Rich from the casual to the experience.
The experience.
Rich and casual, I love it.
Rich the hardcore, dude.
No, but dude, just so you know, man. So we're texting, right? We're texting Will during your fight during the entire night, and Rich hops on and he's texting us about the fights going on. And I was like, is this guy really watching Toste right now? This is legit, dude. This is awesome. So it got me that much more excited for the night. It was awesome. But Will, do you want to go ahead and kick us off and get us going on the fight?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see. So there's that. We'll put Toste in the middle. Thank you, Rich. Keep those belts in view. So we'll start with the walkouts. We won't have audio because we don't have the money to pay the WWE for their licensing on their music.
That's right. I know. I should maybe rethink my walkout music because I've had quite a few people tell me that they can't use my walkout music in their videos.
Really?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny anybody that's listening in on Apple Podcasts or any other podcast, definitely Spotify, YouTube would probably be the way to go, so you can actually watch along with us.
Yeah, definitely want to watch this and not listen to it. If you're listening right now, switch to video.
If you were watching it or if you were listening to it, you would get to hear Will's voice for a second time on the video, but fortunately it is muted as we're watching it today.
Yeah. It was weird, man, because so when Jim, the guy who was doing commentary with me, when he got back to the booth from doing the ring announcements, he sat down. He's like, "It's gonna be hard for me to be biased." Talking about your walkout song, and I was like, "It's gonna be hard for you to be biased. What about me, dude?" It was so hard, dude.
I've gotten a few fans from just my walkout music. My last opponent before Anthony Scott, Joey Bartholomew, he actually came up to me after the fight and told me that the only reason he took the fight was because he was a fan of me and my walkout music.
Nice. That's awesome. That's all. Here.
Speaking of the walkout, with the Ant Dogs uniform too, those things are sick, dude.
Yeah, and then I had been forgetting one of my major sponsors, NorCal Jiu-Jitsu, almost on every interview. So I made sure to take off my jersey and then my shirt and leave that rash guard on the whole time because I wanted to make sure that it got in every shot it could possibly get into.
Yeah, that's a cool shot too. The rash guard's awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting into every shot, who's that back there? Who's that right there? Who's that? That's the last time I'll bring up
classic.
myself in this interview. Maybe we'll see.
Will's like,
No
hey, let me
guarantees.
tell you how I felt, Toasty, while you were walking up, okay?
Nervous. There it is. That's how I felt.
This was one of the first fights where, like, in the back, usually I can kind of flip the switch and I kind of zone in and I'm just like super focused on everything. This was one of the few ones that took me like a while to sort of like get in the zone. I had a few people tell me like maybe you're just getting more and more used to it or something like that. But yeah, the whole walkout up until the point where coach was putting the Vaseline on me, it was a little bit more difficult to sort of like hone in and focus on, like, just go in and do what I was trying to do. So
Get to
I don't
fight
know
mode.
if like I don't know if maybe the walkout and like coach talking to me before the fight sort of like helped me, but yeah, it was a little bit more difficult on this one to get zoned in.
Do you think that might be well, how about this? Instead of saying it like that, how did it affect you? Like you said, you had a whole team of guys fighting on this card who I believe didn't get any wins up until your fight, correct? Did that
Yeah,
affect you at all? Like the night going forward, seeing like your guys come back not with a win?
it
Do you think
definitely
that
put a bit of
affected you?
pressure. It definitely put a
Mhm.
bit of pressure on me that I don't normally put on myself. Like normally it's just kind of like just go in and do your thing. I definitely felt a bit of pressure because I was like, I told myself a couple of times like we're not gonna let this go on anymore. We're gonna get this done. Like I'm tired of it.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then
I could go ahead.
during this little part right here where they're announcing everybody, that was like a big one that helped me zone in. I don't know if you can tell right here, but I'm like looking past this guy with the camera. I'm looking past Jim, and I am staring at Anthony through his skull the whole time.
Nice.
Yeah, that
You
was
mentioned possibly getting used to this, Toasty. And, for anybody that is first going to know you and what you're all about, was it 7 fights that you had in 2022?
It was 8 fights, or sorry, it was 6 fights within a 9-month span. So it was like at the end of 2021 into 2022.
Some would call that active.
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah. If you're gonna get used to it, that's how you get used to it.
Jeez, man.
That's so
Oh.
crazy. Cool. So here's the we'll start it here. This is the start of the fight. Look at that. Touching gloves like a gentleman too.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of respect I have for Anthony. Like, again, taking this fight on such short notice, especially after how the last fight went with him. So a ton of respect for him, regardless of everything. The shot in was definitely quite a bit sloppy, but then I don't know. I felt like he kind of thought he had my neck a lot, and unless you have like all of my neck, you can choke me for 10 hours. I'm not gonna go out. Like, it doesn't matter. So like when he threw this sort of guillotine on me, I was like, I'm gonna sit here and let him squeeze and squeeze, especially with that left arm over the shoulder. Unless he had that underneath his armpit, he really didn't have a chance of finishing it.
You're talking your left arm,
guard.
right?
Huh?
You're talking your left arm over the shoulder?
Yeah, correct.
Right here.
Correct. Yeah. And he's about to pull guard right here. And as soon as he does, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that was the biggest mistake you probably could have made right now, my man.
The old Dustin Poirier special, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So was the game plan to get on him quick with the grappling?
To be honest, before I walked out, before I had a conversation with Coach Ant, in my mind, I was going to stand with him the whole fight. Like, I was just going to try to accentuate sort of what we've been working on the whole time, which was almost all stand-up. We were doing a lot of work on sort of building up the aspects of my game that I haven't been working on. So before we went out there, Coach Ant sort of sat down. He's like, so what are you going to try to do? And I was like, I don't know. I think I'm going to try to stand with him. And he's like, you should take him down at the beginning of the fight at least. And I was like, yeah, I guess I should. And from there, it was just sort of like, I listen to my coaches. So if they tell me to do something, I'm going to do it.
Like, that might be the smart thing to do, I guess. Like, I can't be in here wanting to stand a trade, but I guess you're right.
Yeah, it's not the funnest thing in the world, but I mean, it got the job done.
Yeah, but it opens up the stand-up later, right? Just the shot alone at the beginning, he's going to think, oh, this guy's just going to come out here and wrestle, and all of a sudden you start putting combos together. He's like,
either that or like it gets him in the mindset of like, oh, not this shit again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because this is the second time we fought.
In the beginning of the fight, I thought I saw you switch stances. Very early in the fight. Was that part of the plan too? like if you were going to be standing up to come at him both southpaw and orthodox and just bouncing back and forth, or?
Well, I have a tendency to go switch stances because I did a lot of Taekwondo when I was in high school. So it was less about like being a plan and more just staying balanced. So if you like rewind it a couple of seconds, I threw a kick. And in that kick, instead of spinning all the way around or taking the time and like having my hips be offset, I just stepped down in the stance I was in so that I was just staying balanced. Like right here, I'm about to throw the kick. Boom.
The inside leg kick. Step back.
Instead of like spinning all the way around or stepping down and being off balance where I'm like leaning backwards, it was just a matter of bringing it back and staying in the stance that I was going to be in the most balance in.
Just flowing through it naturally.
Yeah, same thing right there.
Same thing right there.
Go for the head kick and I step right down so that I'm in the stance ready to either shoot or sprawl.
Nice.
Yeah, he went for the neck a few times.
Right?
Yeah, that's the first time he goes for the neck. He does it again in the second round, and it didn't work any better for him in that round either.
Yeah, I remember. Go ahead.
Go for it. The only thing I was really worried about when he pulled the guillotine was this. They had changed we had planned for a 3-minute fight, and because Anthony had only had 2 fights, they were like, "Oh, we can't get a hold of the head of camo," so they were like, "We're going to switch it and just leave it at 2 minutes just so that nobody throws the fight out." So as soon as he threw the guillotine up, the only thing I was worried about was sitting in there for like an extended period of time and losing all of the round to work. But my head pops almost right out immediately. And I'm like, all right, cool. I got plenty of time now.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was not worried about in the commentary booth because you're unbiased, right? But when he jumped the guillotine, I was like, man, 2-minute rounds. And they just started. It's not like you're not sweaty yet. So like, even if he doesn't have the choke, he at least can probably keep the grip for a decent amount of time. But then, yeah, you popped right out of it immediately. Never mind.
It helped that like we were talking about, my arm was over that shoulder because like I sort of just put my hand on his face, and unless you do like a lot of wrestling or jiu-jitsu, it's hard to deal with a cross face and like pushing down on the chin. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I put my hand down and just extended, he was like, "Oh, I'm letting this go."
I'll go back right now.
Boom! Like my hand's already there, and then
yeah.
He throws the arm bar to the wrong side and turns over. I have his back, and I'm like, all right, well, if Raul gives me his back and I choke him, I wonder what I can do to Anthony.
Yeah, and here you can see the mouth guard already starting to come out of his mouth a little bit.
Yeah, and then when he spits it out, I notice it on the floor, and I hear the ref say, just keep fighting or something like that right there. Like, that's why I hesitate. I hear the ref say, keep fighting, so I keep going. And as soon as he separates, I sort of like walk off because I already know the ref is going to stop it. And I don't want Anthony to like have an opportunity to come in when I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
So he does good and like sort of uses the fence to straighten me off. And then right there, he like swings wildly and I just walk off because I know the ref's going to come in there and stop it.
Which, by the way, I thought was a good time for the ref to stop it too, right? Because you were in a good position to be able to land some shots. And the way that the mouthpiece came out almost looked pretty intentional. So I thought it was a really good job by the ref there to say, hey, dude, you spit it out. Toste, keep on stalking this guy. And then when there's another opportunity, then we'll stop it then. So I thought it was a good job there.
Yeah, that ref is really good. He's a no-nonsense John Anik type ref. So when he said keep fighting, I was like, all right, he's not going to let this go he's not going to stop it for some BS. The only thing that would have been also fine is if he was like stay in position and then put it in his mouth, but he definitely wanted to talk to him for a second.
Yeah,
it was funny. That's what Jim was saying too in the commentary. He was like, he's a no-nonsense ref. Like, he's definitely gonna let this ride a little bit because he spit the mouth guard out, and he'll probably give him a warning about it. And then as soon as he separates it, he gives him the warning. And I was like, damn, this guy's a pro.
Yeah. I've only had one ref give me like a really bad situation. But we all learn from it.
Yeah, you got to give you take what they give you,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, definitely taking the center of the ring was a big emphasis. Like, if he's going to shoot on me, he's going to do really sloppy shots. So like from this mega distance, a lot of people tend to, when they get frustrated or can't land something, they'll shoot from really wild spots. So keeping my feet in the center of the cage or as close to Compton's fucking forehead on the middle of the cage was a big thing for us, so that if I had enough space, I could sprawl on just about anybody.
Was the game plan going in striking wise, or at least is it something that you saw like or feel comfortable with countering with that left kick, whether it be a low kick or the high kick?
Well, like I said, this fight was super short notice. I had been planning for somebody else, and that was an aspect of that game plan, was to, because he was so much shorter. I think the original opponent was like 5'6". Anthony Scott's like 5'11", 6 foot. So the left kick, almost like a jab up to the head, was a very big aspect of the last one. So it was super natural to try to throw that sort of thing.
Makes sense, yeah. Because I saw it, you cocked it a couple times, ready for it, but Anthony didn't really like commit, so you didn't really get a chance to pull the trigger. Like a couple times, I saw that.
Yeah, I was also trying. I was trying really hard to like throw up a question mark every once in a while, but like you were saying, he was keeping so far back that it was so hard to do that.
Yeah. You tag him with a good left hand right here too. He rolled with it pretty well, but you definitely caught him.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of that sort of check hook through sparring. I don't know why. It's just been something I've been doing a lot of. So it was just something that sort of came natural in the fight. I think it had something to do with Allen and how much power he has when he comes in, because that man throws heat. So like a lot of times I'm throwing that check hook just to get out of his way.
Just to matador him almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed, this floating kick to the body that you did. Is that something you guys did to close that distance, or was it something you did to negate like leg kicks?
It was something that we did to retain the center of the ring. Because like if you saw when I throw it, I'm on the outskirts of the ring and so is he. So I'm trying to regain that center while also giving myself the ability to like, just like, if he's going to come in and he's going to shoot, I'm going to be in the center of the ring when I make contact and he takes the shot.
Basically like you stay on the outskirts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also like it almost sort of, if he takes the step in and like closes the distance, it almost turns into like a T right into the solar plex.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a great kick.
And Toste, you said, so this one was at lightweight, right?
Correct, yeah.
One of the things I noticed too going into this, you look to be in fantastic shape going into this fight, man.
Yeah, the big shout out to DC giving and Chad Haygood giving me the opportunity to use their facilities almost every morning. I'll wake up at like 4:30, get over there at like 5:30, 5 in the morning, set up the sauna and do like an hour of cardio, like first thing in the morning. Go to work, take my lunch, do maybe an hour and a half of cardio on lunch, come back, finish my work, and then at the end of my day, if I still have the opportunity, like my girlfriend's not at the house or something like that, they'll give me an opportunity to go next door and get an hour of cardio over there. So like my cardio is really on point for this one.
Yeah, you could definitely see it, man.
Yeah, is that also the reason behind no stool in the corner?
That's that. I mean, the cardio wasn't really that. It was another one of those me staring Anthony Scott in the, like, if you watch this little corner portion, I'm not even looking at my coaches. I'm staring a hole through Anthony. So it's mostly like it doesn't matter how much more or how much in shape my opponent is or how non-gassed he thinks he is. Like, I'm going to show you that nothing that happened in that last round is going to affect my gas tank. I was definitely listening to my coaches. Like, one of the main things that Coach Co, the gentleman dressed in all red right there, Coach Angel, he's telling me like, hey man, go in there, do that fake shot you did, because he was biting on it. And as soon as you throw that fake shot, overhand right. And it's like one of the first things I do in the next round. I throw a fake shot in, and then he circles out to the right side, and I pop him really hard with an overhand. So I was definitely listening to my coaches, but the whole no stool standing up thing is mostly like a mental warfare. Like, hey, I don't care what you did to me that round. I don't care what happened. I'm not gassed, and you're going to feel how much pressure I'm going to put on you.
Was their eye contact reciprocated in this in between rounds?
Absolutely not. There was very little at the beginning of the fight, and then in this middle of the round, he was not looking at me at all. I don't know if he even saw me standing up, but I'm not gonna wait for him to look at me to stand up. I'm gonna make sure that he knows I've been standing this whole time staring at him.
That overhand off the fake shot, call that the old the eagle punch. Habib
exactly.
mastered that punch. That's a good weapon in a wrestler's arsenal.
Yeah, and that fake shot is definitely, again, something we were working on all camp. There was a lot of stuff throughout the camp that we worked on a lot that I was able to implement through this fight. Even though we didn't get to use all the stand-up stuff I wanted to use, it was still really cool to be able to use a lot of the stuff that Coach was showing me in the practice room, and then all the stuff that they were telling me to do in the cage.
Yeah, that's got to be cool to see it kind of come to fruition.
Boom!
And
right there.
That's the fake shot right to the right hand.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
the first
beautiful.
thing I do right off the bat. Fake shot, circle off, boom.
Yep.
Anthony does you could tell he's got really good vision in there. You could tell that that he's got good awareness and he prepares to take a shot really well. Like he rolls with shots well, because that's a good punch, but you could see him kind of turn with it. He's got good vision for sure.
It's usually the punches you don't see coming that you're like stiff for, that the ones that put you out. So like he definitely saw it maybe at the last second, but he definitely saw it enough to turn his shoulders and take it
just in time. In time. But it's still a very nice land.
The moving in and out was a lot of that sort of step back and then going in was a lot of what Coach Ant was showing me through the practice room. I don't like how I sort of dropped my left hand here out, but at the same time, I saw his right hand cocked back at his hip, and I wanted to make sure that if he was going to throw it as an uppercut as opposed to throwing it straight, that like I had the opportunity to sort of spin out or bring the hand back into my body.
And you can see him try to counter the leg kicks with that right straight. He does it he doubles up on it right here. There's the one. There's the other one.
And then again, he sort of, I'm going to grab at your neck, and instead of pushing down and pushing my head in between his legs, he lets me keep my head on the outside, which is a horrible idea unless you have some sort of godlike guillotine. I was able to press him up against the cage, and as soon as I felt his back hit the cage, I was like, oh, I'm going to lift him hard here. I wanted to lift him a bit harder and take him over back to the red corner, but I heard enough familiar voices in that area to sort of be comfortable enough to sit there.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Was this guillotine a little bit tighter than the previous one, Toasty?
No, the first one was definitely much tighter.
Okay.
But at the same time, he felt like he was going to hold this one a lot longer. Like he didn't want to let go of my head until like the round ended or I gave up the position I was going to be in. As soon as I lifted his legs out, I knew there was only two options. It was either going to be like full side control where he lets me up, or I'm going to be in mount, and ended up being in mount.
Yeah, I thought when he holds on to it here, and I was like, Toasty's going to choke him out right now if he keeps holding onto this neck, because you fell right into side control here. And I was like, he's going to have to let go of that neck. Otherwise, like it's a wrap for him. Yeah, exactly.
The only thing that stopped me from doing that was the fact that my head was right up against the cage. And I didn't like, it's uncomfortable, like it's super uncomfortable, like just grinding any part of your body up against that cage. It's something that you don't really think about. Like even when you like have a body lock on somebody up against the cage and you're sort of like rolling up and down, like that cage rips at your arms and your hands. So I like my head being up there and having all the braids in, it didn't feel comfortable enough for me to sit there for an extended period of time. So I was like, I'll just take the more dominant position and we'll see what he gives me from there.
Yeah, I wonder what he gives you from there.
Yeah, I mean, he rolls over to his belly, which is not the best idea. I was definitely going to sit up and punch him in the face from mount. But at the same time, there's only one other option besides me punching you out, and that's me choking you out. So I don't really think that the giving me your back was the best option there.
And at this point, I think he feels you going into mount, right? And you could see he's holding on for dear life, man. Because, I mean, the only other option outside of this is, again, letting you go. You're already in mount, and you're just going to start raining down with some ground and pound, right? So you could just see it, man, that he's just trying to hold on with every piece of him, that he can before he lets go.
Yeah, and that was sort of what I was talking about before when he grabbed my head for when I was doing the takedown. Like, I felt the grip as like a last ditch type of grip. Like, I'm going to just hold on. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm just going to hold this as long as I physically can. I mean, the only other thing he could do is try to walk the cage there, which is something I tend to do on everybody. I love working the cage with my feet. I don't know why more people don't do it. But at the same time, it's not something I expect my opponents to do because a lot of people are just afraid to do it.
Well, it's also the position you're putting him in with your base. I mean, if you look at his legs, he's in really no position to use them on the fence at all. I mean, they're damn near. I mean, they're crossed here, right? But it's a scramble. But there's really no leverage he can get with those legs just from your base here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we worked a lot of KC knee control. So there was like a whole thought in my mind of like, I'm not going to let him use his legs here. If he does let go of my head, the first thing he's going to do is try to buck and sort of like bench press me off him. And as long as I can withstand like the first one or two of them, there's no way he's going to get me off him.
Yeah, because those don't get stronger after multiple attempts.
Yeah,
those
they also
only
don't
get weaker.
Stronger after multiple rounds either.
Yeah.
And then again, I press the face, he lets go, and then immediately he bellies out. Probably should have turned in the other way, like for his head towards the center of the ring as opposed to up against the cage. The other thing he probably could have tried to do is do like a suicide roll forward, because my face is right up against the cage. He could have tried to do that, but I mean, I tend to be stuck like a backpack bit like that.
Is it easier, you think, or does it not make a difference at all? The trying to maintain the hooks with shin guards on?
Yes, it's a lot. The whole fight is so much different with the shin guards on. It's like retaining guard, going into half guard, doing butterfly hooks, setting your hooks in from the back. Everything is crazy different because even when they're dry, they're slick. They're just always slick. They get in the way. They shift around. The padding moves from like where your shin is to like the side of your leg. Even if they tape the hell out of those things, they're always moving around and they're like almost never secure. So I'm so tired of fighting with shin guards on. It's so frustrating that like I can't seem to find anybody willing to fight me who has enough fights to where I don't have to wear them.
So what is it? Is it 4 fights?
You have to. They won't even allow you the option if you don't have at least 2. And the rules say that you need to have 3 fights before you can take them off. But sometimes Camo will make considerations, like say for this title fight. That's sort of why they were talking about it in the back. The head of Camo, JT, if he can get in a hold of the Camo people that are there, he can approve a fight if you've had 2 fights and you're going on your 3rd. But if you have less than 3 fights, they're just not even going to do it.
Makes sense. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, California is like the only state that does that, though.
Yeah, of course. I know that's what we were talking to Nick about it. It's like, what's the rule situation there for amateur fights in Taiwan? And he was like, that's a great question.
Yeah. They have those?
Yeah. That's awesome. Man. So yeah, there you flatten him out pretty good. You can see it. He tries to get to a base here, to his knees, and then you're like, nah.
Yeah, the first couple punches were actually like just to pepper him and get him to move. Because I wanted to get a submission in here. That's almost always my first thought, is to get a submission. And then, like I said, I heard a couple familiar voices coming from like the edge of the crowd, and they were like, "Just throw bombs. You have him there. Like you're already in a dominant position. Just throw your punches." And I'm like, "Oh, you're right. I do have a dominant position. So I just started like making sure that my feet were on either side of them. I have a tendency to sort of get caught up underneath people as they're shifting. So I kept that in mind and just started unloading.
There's also a point here when I don't want to spoil anything, but
you must be like a coach's dream, Toasty. Because like you point out the different things that they tell you in between rounds, the fact that they're yelling stuff out from the corner and you're listening in during the fight, and it seems like you just have a high level of execution shortly after they're suggesting either the feint on the takedown to come up with the right, stop with the peppering and start landing some bombs because you're in a dominant position and you're like, oh yeah, you're right, which is a gift really, man, because sometimes you see a fighter gets so zoned in on the fight itself that they just don't listen into what the corner is yelling out or instructing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been super blessed growing up in an area like Gilroy where, our wrestling team has been fighting for state titles. We have people who went to the NCAA and won All-Americans and NCAA championships. So, like, the proof is in the pudding. Like, you don't not listen to the coaches that are giving you the advice that are getting those people to those positions. I mean, I wrestled with somebody at Gilroy High who had a Bellator fight last year. I wrestled with Brianna, who's been in the UFC for how long? These people are in positions for a reason. They're not giving you this advice for shits and gigs. They're doing it because they know what they're talking about. They see things in you that are going to be executed well. So if you're not listening to them, if you're just listening to yourself, unless you had been getting yourself to these positions, there's no reason to not listen to the advice of the coaches that are coming at you. Greg Varela, amazing coach. Listen to everything he said, and he's done amazing work with me being an unranked wrestler going into CCS and almost making it to the state tournament. Marty Serrano, Anthony Figueroa, Angel Figueroa, all these coaches are masters at what they're doing. So there's no reason to not believe in the advice that they're giving.
I love it, man.
Yeah. That seems like common sense to you, but that's not always the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were conversations in the back about like the mistakes that have happened in the beginning, and it's almost always a common thread of like being too anxious or being too excited or something like that. So as long as you stay calm and listen to the advice coming at you, there's no reason that you're not going to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, not everybody thinks that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, when I'm watching this at home, I was super excited. I was just probably too loud to be yelling at the house. Honestly, I was like, "Oh, the ref's stepping in. The ref's gonna be stepping in here any moment now."
When
to be honest, it felt like a lot longer. Like I was throwing punches, and I in my mind there was a thought. I was like, "Dude, are you gonna stop this? Because I'm getting tired."
Dude, so I knew, I was like, it's got to be coming. Look at this picture. I mean, that's such a gnarly freeze frame. Picture. But I was like, it's got to be close. And then when you switch to the hammer fists, I was like, this is over. There's no way that they're going to let this keep going. I think it's right here. You switch to the hammer fist with your right hand. Those ones, yeah. I was like, it's over, man.
I threw one left, and I was like, oh, I can't reach back far enough because of this cage. Oh, I got this one.
Yeah, and then I realized that for that whole barrage of ground and pound, his mouth guard wasn't in, and I was like, that's gnarly. That's super gnarly.
Yeah, and then I was watching the fight back, and Jim had said something about like, oh, there's blood on his back. I think that Toasty's bleeding. And like in my mind, I was like, no, that's his blood. That's his blood.
I know man. When he said that, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't think he's gotten hit anywhere that would make him bleed.
I honestly didn't get hit in the face at all. There was a few punches that like right before I hit takedowns where Anthony was throwing them, and I would do this turn, and he was hitting right on the forearm and coming off my head. I didn't even get hit in the face once.
Yeah, everything that landed was kind of just like a glancing blow, if anything, not really like nothing flush on your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and at the end there, when he steps in, you see the mouthpiece kind of just fly towards that little corner right there.
Yeah. What a logo Daniel's got, huh?
Yeah. Honestly, I thought that logo, that mat, would be way more slick because of how much vinyl is on the center. It's actually not that bad. It's one of the more stable rings that I've been in.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then right before, as everyone was sort of coming in the ring, the first thing Compton does is he comes up to me. He's like, "Did you bring your belt?" And I was like, "Yeah, but it's in the trunk. I'm superstitious. I don't want to bring it in the cage." So he's like, "I'm gonna go grab another one."
Nice.
Oh, that's
He's
awesome, man.
He's like, we need both belts on you.
Yeah, and as soon as he put them both on me, I was like, "Ooh, I feel like DC."
Yeah. And like, what a picture! What a picture this is. I've seen this get posted a few times, but like, come on,
this needs to be on a shirt. It needs to be on a shirt.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good.
And that's why Compton went and grabbed another belt because he knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
Paid the big bucks.
That's you'd almost call him a promoter.
Almost.
Almost.
Yeah, he actually does really, really good video promos. Like the video shot he does afterwards and talks about the card coming up here in May in Gilroy is a really good shot. Really cool.
I'm so bummed that that's happening. I mean, it's sick. It makes a ton of sense that it's Cinco de Mayo weekend, all this stuff. But I'm gonna be in fucking Colorado. I'm so pissed.
For Cinco de Mayo in Colorado.
Well, that's where everybody goes, dude. Cinco de Mayo.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they're over there in Colorado for that weekend. It's like, of course, I don't go anywhere ever. So of course, the one time I go somewhere, I'm gonna miss something that I'm like super hyped for.
And so this is what I was gonna ask, Toste. What's next now? Like, what do you have planned out for 2023?
Well, I'm by the middle of 2023, after May, I for sure want to get my pro license. Like, I don't want to have to renew my amateur license anymore. So that's going to be like the big plan. What's coming up in the near future? I already have the days off from work for the 25th because I had the card booked for that. So that's what I'm looking for. My coach is trying to find an opponent and find a card that they can put me on. So again, another short notice. We're going for another couple weeks. I'm trying to stay at weight, trying to be as close to 150, 145 as I can be, just to give my coach any option that they can find an opponent for. As long as we can find somebody that makes sense, hopefully, again, somebody that doesn't have to require me to wear shin guards to fight. And then hopefully the promotion gives me the opportunity to either get me in position for a state title challenge again, or if they can, get the state title for me, that'd be a perfect situation. But I'm hoping for the 25th, and then that'll put me, just at a good enough gap to get a full camp in for the May card in Gilroy.
I was gonna say you're definitely gonna be on that, right?
For sure. There's already we sort of planned to miss the last Compton card, and that's why I was gonna be on the commentary booth, but there's no plan to miss that one. Yeah. Also, I got 2 belts. One of them's got to be defended. I'm tired of this winning new ones. We got to defend something.
Yeah,
I love it. Man.
So funny.
I mean, hey, you know me. I'll fight anybody. You can book me twice in the night. I'm down.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh man.
Hey, Rich. I wonder if Rich has any questions or anything since he did view the fights. See if he has any.
I have one. What is a suicide roll? What's a suicide roll? Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah, a suicide roll is it's the term that you would normally use in wrestling, because if you're on your belly and you roll forward, you're going to roll onto your back. So you're in a dire situation. So it's either you're either going to roll and they're going to land on their face and fall forward and you're going to get to their back, or it's a suicide. You're going to land on your back and get pinned. So that's why it's called a suicide roll.
Tight. Okay, that's all I can absorb today. Thank you, Toste. Congratulations.
That's all you can absorb.
Love it. All right, Will, did you have anything else?
No, I mean, thank you for the opportunity for the commentary. That is not something that I expected to ever happen, and the fact that happened, it was so cool, and it made me want to do it way more. So I appreciate that and lining that up for me. And thanks for putting on a good fight. Thanks for joining.
Right back at you guys. I never really thought that, I mean, I always knew that I'd be fighting and do shit like that. But, being in on a podcast that has, people from like across the pond watching, and you know, you've had what, Alex Caceres, you've had Chris Lieben, you've had all of these major fighters on, and now, you know, little old Toasty is on it. I've never really thought that I'd have that opportunity either. So, you know, good people do good things for other people. So thank you for the opportunity.
Dude, your story of the fight fan, man. Your story of the fight fan, bro. So super proud of all the stuff you got going on, Toasty. I'm sure this isn't the last time we're gonna have you on. Looking forward to the next fight, right? And for everybody that tuned in, before we log off, any plugs? Toasty MMA, right?
Yeah, Toasty MMA is where you can find me on all my socials. I have a Facebook, so you can find me there, unlike Story of the Fight. But you know, shout out to all the sponsors that have been sticking with me. Pour Me Tap Room here in Gilroy, Center that have been with me, you know, almost the whole way. GFY who give me gear, NorCal Jiu-Jitsu who've been crazy helpful for any time I ask them for anything. They're always super communicative and right at me, trying to help me out. You guys who, you know, been an amazing help to me, just putting me out there, getting me in people's minds. Daniel Compton for every opportunity he's given me. You know, facing Raul for the title, giving me a short notice fight after short notice fight, giving me the opportunity to do commentary that I you know, sucks that I didn't get to take it, but still, you know, thank you to all you guys. Thank you to the gym, Ant Dogs MMA. Thank you, DC's Wrestling Academy. Chad Haygood, special shout out to you, man. You've been an insurmountable help to me, keeping me motivated, keep me, you know, doing cardio every morning, giving me something to aspire to in the future. So thank you, everybody.
Man, and I'm surprised he didn't mention Zuckerberg, because I feel like he really pushes for Facebook every time we talk to him.
Also, shout out to Daniel for letting us show the footage too for the fight. Really appreciate it. It's really cool getting to do videos like this where we can walk through the fights.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, shout out CCFC for sure. They got some good stuff going on over there.
Yeah, and they put on great fights too. It's almost the whole card was like crazy the whole time. It was
nuts.
Yeah, there was one jiu-jitsu match that I wasn't a big fan of, but that's mostly because somebody decides to pull out of my fight who was in that one a couple times. So we're not going to talk about him. But other than that, the whole card was a banger from top to bottom.
Definitely.
I love it. All right. Well, thanks again, Toasty. And thanks to everybody that's tuning in to Story of the Fight. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, fans.